Everybody. Welcome to my fireside. It was a wee bit cold out in the garden hut today, so I've come indoors to bring you today's homespun tale. Now, for those of you who haven't heard me before, my name's Sheila Kinninman and I'm a storyteller based in Fife. And today's story is one of my favourite stories. It's one I tell to bairns as well as adults. And it's a story that has travelled the world. You get versions of it in various different countries, but this is the Scottish story, the Scottish version that I've added wee bits to make it my own. And I call it the Wee Tailor of Fife. You see, a long time ago, there was a wee tailor that lived in Fife. In fact, he probably had a workshop right here in St Andrews. And this tailor, well, he was thought to be the best in the country. He was famous for making tartan waistcoats and tartan breeks, or trousers as you might call them. Even the king ordered some of his tartan breeks and his tartan waistcoats. In fact, one time he took a parcel of stuff that he'd made to Falkland Palace to give to the king, and the king saw him personally and paid him personally. But the king looked at the wee tailor and says to him, "Ken what, wee tailor? You make all these braw clays for us, but your own clays, they're a bit shabby and worn out and torn and frayed round the edges. Can you no mak yourself something as braw as what you mak for other folk?" And the wee tailor says, "Well, your majesty, you ken what? I'm that busy making clays for other folk. I don't hae time to mak onything for myself. And even if I did hae time, cloth costs a lot of siller. And, you didn't pay me enough to buy cloth to mak clays for myself." Well, the tailor went awa back to St Andrews to his workshop, and a day or two later, a parcel arrived. He opened it up, and inside there was a note for the king, saying, "Tailor, here's some cloth. Mak yourself something braw to wear." And he took out of that parcel a braw piece of cloth. And he thought, "Oh, what I could mak with that." And he took it into his workshop and he put it on his workbench. He got his shears and his needle and thread, and he snipped a bit and stitched a bit, snipped a bit and stitched a bit, snipped a bit and stitched a bit, until he turned that piece of cloth into a braw coat, a braw wee coat. And he put it on and he looked at his cell and he says, "Oh, you're a handsome chap in that coat." And when he went out into the town with it on, folks stopped him and said, "Oh, what a braw coat that is. You look fair braw in it." Well, he liked that coat so much, he wore it and he wore it and he wore it. He wore it in the morning, he wore it in the afternoon. He sometimes even wore it to bed at night. The only time he didn't wear it was in the bath. Well, he wore that coat and he wore it until eventually it began to wear out. It was looking a bit shabby and a bit frayed round the edges. So he thought to himself, "Well, I can't wear that one more." And he was just about to throw it in the midden, or the dustbin, as you might say, when he thought, "Wait a minute, I could make something else out of that coat." So he took the coat into his workshop, he put it on his workbench, he got his shears and his needle and thread, and he snipped a bit and stitched a bit, snipped a bit and stitched a bit, snipped a bit and stitched a bit, until he turned that coat into a naughty braw waistcoat, a wee waistcoat. Well, when he put that waistcoat on, he thought to himself, "Oh, what braw you look with that waistcoat on." And when he went out into the town with it on, folks stopped him and said, "Oh, that's an awfully braw waistcoat you've got there." Well, he liked that waistcoat so much, that he wore it and he wore it and he wore it. He wore it in the morning, he wore it in the afternoon, even sometimes kept it on when he went to bed. The only time he didn't wear it was in the bath. Well, he wore that waistcoat so much that eventually it began to wear out and get all frayed round the edges. And one day he took it off and he says, "Oh, I can't wear that any more." And he was just about to throw it in the midden when he thought, "Wait a minute, I could make something else out of that waistcoat." So he took the waistcoat into his workshop, he put it on his workbench, he got his shears and his needle and thread, and he snipped a bit and stitched a bit, snipped a bit and stitched a bit, snipped a bit and stitched a bit, until he turned that waistcoat into a naughty braw bonnet. A wee bonnet with a toorie on the top. Well, he put that bonnet on his head and he thought to himself, "Oh, you fair suit that bonnet." And when he went out into the town, folks stopped him and said, "Oh, I like your bonnet, Tailor." Well, he liked that bonnet so much that he wore it and he wore it and he wore it. He wore it in the morning, he wore it in the afternoon, he even sometimes kept it on when he went to bed. The only place he didn't wear it was in the bath. Well, he wore the bonnet so much that eventually it began to wear out and look all frayed round the edges. So one day he took it off and he thought, "I can't wear that any more." And he was just about to throw it in the midden when he thought, "Wait a minute, I could make something else out of that waistcoat." Out of the bonnet, in fact. So he took the bonnet into his workshop, he put it on his workbench, he got his shears and his needle and thread, and he snipped a bit and stitched a bit, snipped a bit and stitched a bit, snipped a bit and stitched a bit, until he turned that bonnet into a very posh bow tie. A wee bow tie that you might wear round your neck if you went to a party. Well, he liked that wee bow tie so much. He didn't keep it for parties. He wore it and he wore it and he wore it. And everybody said, "Oh, what a braw bow tie that is. You look fair smart with that on." Well, he wore that bow tie over and over again. He wore it in the morning. He wore it in the afternoon. He sometimes even kept it on with his jammies in bed at night. The only time he didn't wear it was in the bath. Well, he wore that bow tie so much that eventually it began to wear out. And one day he took it off and he thought, "Oh, see that bow tie? It's all shabby and frayed. I can't wear that any more." And he was just about to throw it in the midden when he thought, "Wait a minute, I could make something else out of that." So he took the bow tie into his workshop, he put it on his workbench, he got his shears and his needle and thread, and he snipped a bit and stitched a bit, snipped a bit and stitched a bit, snipped a bit and stitched a bit, until he turned that bow tie into an awfully braw button. And he fastened that button onto his shirt. And he thought, "That's awfully braw." And folk stopped him in the street and said, "Oh, that's an awfully braw button you've got there, Tailor." Well, he liked that button so much, he wore it and he wore it and he wore it. He wore it in the morning, he wore it in the afternoon, he sometimes even fastened it to his jammies and wore it to bed. The only time he didn't wear it was in the bath. Well, he wore that button so much that one day it just crumbled into a pile of dust in his hand. Wore it altogether. So he took that wee pile of dust and he threw it in the midden. And when he went back to the workshop, he thought to himself, "Wait a minute, I could maybe make something else out of that." And you know what he made? He made that story that I've just told you. And if you take that story and tell it to somebody else, it'll never wear out. And that's the story of the Wee Tailor of Fife. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you enjoyed that story, well, I'll be back again on Thursday with another of my tasty tales. And if you like listening to my stories, remember, once this is all over and we're back going about our ordinary business again, I'm available to come into your school or your nursery or your care home or your museum or your library or anywhere where folk like listening to stories. Bye for now.